This episode of the BlockHash Podcast is brought to you by Sumsub, the leading full-cycle verification platform built specifically for the crypto industry. Trusted by 8 out of the 10 biggest global exchanges, Sumsub helps VASPs, exchanges, and DeFi platforms prevent fraud, stay compliant, and scale globally, all without slowing down user onboarding. With instant KYC and KYB, automated crypto transaction monitoring, and full travel rule compliance across a network of more than 1,800 VASPs, Sumsub adapts fast to evolving threats and regulations. They verify over 14,000 document types worldwide and onboard users in under 20 seconds, achieving conversion rates up to 95% plus in key markets. If you want secure growth and a frictionless onboarding experience for your users, visit sumsub.com to learn more.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of BlockHash here at Blockchain Futurist, here with Kyle Sonlin. Is that correct?
Yep.
Awesome. With the Global Settlement Network.
That's right.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been a long day, but no, we're having a lot of fun. Kyle's here to talk to us about it a little bit more. Kyle, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thanks. Hey, really appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
I'm a Miami resident. I've been in Miami for 10 years and
cool.
Just got back from over 2 months road showing, doing the conference circuit, and it's nice to have one in my backyard.
It is. Yeah, I totally understand that because I'm from Vegas.
Sure.
And it's nice to have them all in your backyard, so you don't have to
sleep
travel
in your
too
bed,
much.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. No, Kyle, this is it's great to have you on. Love to learn more about Global Settlement Network, what you guys are doing. First, to kick it off, tell us a bit about yourself. I'm sure you have an interesting story like we all do. How did you end up in the Web3 world? What was your inception point, and how did that eventually lead to Global Settlement Network?
Sure. I started on the buy side. So I was I'm second generation family office. So meaning we've been investing in this space off the balance sheet since 2013. So it's been a long time. And so I worked in the industry for quite some time, deploying capital as well as working for various companies within the industry. And I would say 5 years into my journey, started to get frustrated with the lack of institutional quality assets, right? I was used to stocks, I was used to venture capital where you're investing in particular companies, and there wasn't a lot of that direct exposure with the crypto space. And I don't need to explain that to anybody in the audience. And so that's when I really started to focus on security tokens, which has kind of pivoted into this RWA broader concept of taking real assets and putting them on chain or utilizing that effectively.
Right.
And so I started a business in the space called Security Token Market in 2017, which was a data business tracking this market. And what I realized was there was a really key opportunity in financing deals using stablecoins, right? So leveraging a lot of the benefits of crypto for traditional finance, right? So I started looking at and working on deals in this particular region and realized there was an entire market of commodities like gold, oil, and a variety of other market segments that represent billions or trillions of dollars worth of value that's really hard to finance because it's in regions that don't have large-scale banking systems. The central banks, the regional banks, they don't have the financial infrastructure to support the large size of assets in the ground, quite literally, that they have in their borders. And so a lot of what we work with Global Settlement is helping government level institutions establish a lot of that framework and the facilities to support financing of those operations, and then doing that actual settlement itself into these types of assets.
Nice. Do you have any use cases, maybe some examples you can kind of share of that in action? I'm sure people would love to hear kind of how that picture comes together.
Yeah, look, well, the first deal that we were able to complete that really put us on the map, if you will, with respect to this market is about 3 months ago, we completed the first leveraged buyout in a particular country in South America. And I'm unable to disclose the exact country name, but this particular country, they had never done a debt and equity hybrid acquisition of anything. And we actually assisted in facilitating the acquisition of a $75 million oil operator. Wow. It's producing 3,000 to 4,000 barrels of oil per day. This is a real upstanding facility. It's not a future project. It's not operation. No, this is spitting out, millions of dollars of oil.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was financed using stablecoins. And the reason why is because it was a multi-jurisdictional, as we say, multi-country deal. So you have people on the equity stack that are from other Latin American countries where their currency is not incredibly strong. And so the Miami-based acquisition company in the US doesn't really want to take on dollars from a variety of different countries and deal with the risk of the changing currencies. And so the easiest way to facilitate the payments was actually using stablecoins and financing using USDT or USDC and moving that capital into America, off-ramping that into traditional cash, making the purchase, and then tokenizing the cap table of that acquisition on the back end. And so we were able to complete a really large-scale RWA deal in the financing, really fully capitalized vehicle, which I think led us into the evolution of this business, which is now we have a lot of deal flow from mines, from oil refineries all over the world. But in our new deal that we recently announced a few weeks ago, it's working with the government of Uganda in establishing financing operations within a lot of their natural resources, as well as working on a pilot to build a central bank digital currency. Because a lot of people are afraid of this CBDC concept from a surveillance perspective, but in those regions, they don't even have a SWIFT code. And what that means is that for us to even send from our bank to their bank, it could be 5, 10, 15% just in fees in moving the capital,
I understand.
Right? And so building them a currency stack that can interface with stablecoin ecosystems allows them to participate in the global economy in a way they've never done before. And I think it's a really exciting and empowering mission that results in a lot of zeros if you can finance the real commodities operations behind it.
Absolutely. There's a lot of opportunities to do stuff in places like Latin America, Africa, like places where it's kind of relatively untapped. And there's a lot of different kinds of resources to tap into. Actually lived in Colombia for 4 years, so I kind of understand a little bit in Colombia and the general Latin American region, some of those things that have a really hard friction point to kind of get into traditional markets generally. And I can imagine things like stablecoins really amplify that too. So
that's right.
RWAs.
And I'm also super bullish because, everybody's talking about AI and everybody's talking about hardware. I've seen some automated robots walking around. The problem with all these things, the data centers, the chips, they have rare earth metals inside of them, right? Silicon, they've got gold, they've got all kinds of conductive metals, not to mention all the batteries have lithium and all these things. These are things that we need to pull out of the ground. And what I like to say is that nobody wants a mine in their backyard. Right? So we need to open a mine somewhere in the desert or where there's not a lot of people that are going to be, subject to that reality. But the problem is that in order to get the money there, as we mentioned, it's still really, really antiquated. And just like, how upgrading from the iPhone 16 to the iPhone 17 doesn't really feel like a big change. In much of those regions, they're still on 2G cellular infrastructure. They don't have any Wi-Fi, really. They don't have much online infrastructure to begin with. So if you can take that and upgrade it to where we are today in the current 2025 market with respect to stablecoins, DeFi, and banking infrastructure, it really moves the needle for them in a way that, maybe you're only saving dollars and cents here in America, you're saving millions or billions of dollars there.
Especially for large-scale companies too that are doing these things at transactional volume that's really, really high. These fees really can scale up at times and be really problematic. So no, this is a fantastic solution. Stablecoins have taken a massive leap forward this year. Where do you think that continues to go? It's really starting to enable a lot of financial institutions and companies, large enterprises, even governments to find ways to participate more in this space. I imagine for Global Settlement Network, that's also incredibly beneficial to have that further legitimized. Where do you think stablecoins continue to go? Does that be like a staple for this industry to build a good foundation? Or where do you see at least looking into 2026, maybe how much further we push it?
Well, not to be cliche, but with great power comes great responsibility in the sense that as this market grows and balloons in size, there are some legitimate concerns that I don't feel are being addressed in the current market, right? So it seems like everybody has their blockchain now, right? Like Robinhood now has a blockchain, Uniswap has a blockchain, Circle has a blockchain, Stripe has a blockchain. Everybody's gonna launch a blockchain. And on the other side, everybody's got a stablecoin, right? Western Union just came out with a stablecoin. Obviously Circle's got a stablecoin. I wouldn't be shocked if Stripe has a stablecoin at some point, right? All these guys are gonna have their stablecoins, not to mention you've got Tether and a lot of these emerging market stablecoins or central bank digital currencies. And the problem is that they don't really interface answer each other, right? Like Tether, $1 of Tether, provided that they actually have the dollars in their bank account, $1 of Tether should equate to $1 of USDC. As long as they both have a dollar in the bank account, like they should be able to be fungible with respect to the fact that one is one, right? A stable coin is a stable coin is a stable coin as long as they're actually, fully backed by the thing, which again is maybe doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah.
But as long as we assume that, they all should be able to settle like for like, but they don't today in the current market. Yeah. And conversely, on the blockchain side, like these blockchains don't really communicate that well with each other still. We still have to go through decentralized bridges, which some people love the decentralized angle, but on the other side, you have to fund each one of those bridges, which can be really cost inefficient if you're an issuer, where you have to fund all these different bridges. Not to mention, the bridges is where everything gets hacked. That's where every one of these hacks comes from adversarial nations, from bad actors, and it also is non-compliant with respect to a lot of banking regulations, which require there to be a counterparty along every step of the transaction. If you have a decentralized component, there's no accountability at that particular moment, which breaks the chain of custody, right? Yeah. So for all of these reasons, there isn't actually a solution solving for those things, which from my experience in doing real deals, boots on the ground style, those are questions that need to be answered for a government, for a large scale institution to really deploy capital at the size that we see on Wall Street. And that's what global settlement is really aiming to solve.
Time for a quick shout out to today's sponsor, Sumsub. Crypto is global, fast moving, and full of emerging threats. You need a verification partner that moves even faster. Sumsub combines blockchain intelligence, identity verification, and behavioral fraud detection into one powerful platform. So you can screen, score, and monitor users at every step. Their AI-powered system detects anomalies, account takeovers, and illicit wallet activity before transactions hit the blockchain, giving your compliance team superpowers. Trusted by 4,000 plus clients across fintech and crypto, Sumsub helps organizations expand into new markets with confidence while maintaining full compliance with global regulations. Whether you're scaling an exchange, launching a DeFi product, or securing a Web3 community, Sumsub has you covered. Check them out today at sumsub.com.
Absolutely. Like the friction points we see in traditional finance, it's almost ironic you see in the Web3 space too.
Right.
And it's like, I like to be a little degen sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I bridge this and swap that. It's fun. But for the ordinary person, for the ordinary company, the ordinary government, they're like, what the fuck is all this?
Yeah, if the stake is you go to jail because if you get hacked, you lose the money, which is a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders. Like you're now no longer going to take that off the balance sheet. It's easy.
A little problematic,
when there's responsibilities that are outside of your own, that's where we need to have different guardrails. And crypto doesn't love that necessarily if it's against their ethos or whatever, but it's just the way that the world works. And it is a safer environment for the average person. Not to mention, we haven't even opened this can of worms up, but quantum resistance is a real reality that we're coming to very quickly here. And I don't believe that a lot of the decentralized solutions that exist are prepared for that. And so building those, military grade, for lack of a better word, solutions with respect to some of those things with an encryption capacity, not anonymous, but secure, is going to be really important moving forward. Those are things that we're highly focused on.
So let me ask you about that really quick, because I haven't asked anybody about that here while we're at the event. And obviously quantum resistance is a really big topic right now. Is this a little bit of a clickbaity term right now? Like it's not as important yet? Or is this like legitimately a concern we need to think about and solve pretty quickly?
So with anything in cybersecurity, it is a cat and mouse game in the sense that you are naturally disincentivized to protect yourself against a fear that only exists in the future, right? Like we're safe now, so we're good, right? Until you're not, right? And so as I mentioned, for the average person, maybe they're okay with taking the risk of having some of these things fail. But if you are an institution that's been in business for hundreds of years and you plan to stay in business for hundreds of years, it's only going to be 3 years down the line. That is really short term for a firm like Fidelity or for JP Morgan. JP Morgan, literally the guy bailed out the US government in the 1800s, right? Like they've been an institution for hundreds of years. So 5 years, 10 years down the line is not actually that far away in the grand scheme of things.
Sure.
And so I think that just as much as having the solution today, having plans for how you're going to be rolling that out, and being proactive as opposed to reactive is something that I think is valuable for a lot of these counterparties that we work with.
Absolutely. So what brings Global Settlement Network to Blockchain Futurist? What are you guys looking at here? Are you guys speaking and doing panels? Are you guys here at the Cabanas trying to network, looking for partnerships, collaborations? What's the goal?
Well, it's easy to say all of the above. From a sales or business development perspective, I'm always looking for commodities issuers, people that are working with rare earth metals, whether it's in the US, whether it's outside of the US. They may be working with oil, gas, energy. I'm actually working on a water treatment facility now in Southeast Asia. So a lot of different commodities, because this represents a huge portion of most countries' GDP in general. Most of the money that most countries make comes from exports, right? Whatever they have that's valuable that other people want to purchase, right? So we see this as a hugely untapped market, and it starts by working directly on the ground with these types of opportunities, which then leads us up the food chain to work on a national level with these particular governments to help them understand, okay, how can we make sure that this translates into our local commercial economy as well? So doing a lot of work in understanding that. Miami is a great place to be because of the fact that many of the local families and successful firms here do have a lot of business in LATAM and South America, which much of that is of this type of industry, right? Whether it's agriculture, whether it's mining, whether it's natural resources in general, right? So doing a lot of that type of networking is important. We've been very fortunate to be hosted here and to speak here and to sit on panels and do these things across many conferences, including this one. Aside from that, we're always looking for great developers, and that networking side is great, as well as there's so many firms here that still don't have a great on-ramping, off-ramping solution. So a lot of what we do is helping bring them to the right licensed counterparties to actually solve these real-world problems that no one wants to talk about, right? It's great to keep all your stuff in stables until you need to pay for something in the real world, right? And so we certainly do a lot of business development at conferences like these.
So how can someone get in contact with you guys if they're a developer, they're a company that wants to partner, they're a firm, whatever it may be? What's the best avenue to do that?
Well, look, we're proud. We've got globalsettlement.com. We love the domain. We think it's really strong and it's hard to forget. So check out globalsettlement.com and you're going to be able to see any of the stuff online about our business and what we've built thus far. If you search it on Google, Global Settlement probably would need to throw a blockchain or something in there to hone the search, but you'll find some articles about some of the things that we've covered here on this conversation, or find me on LinkedIn or Twitter or wherever at Kyle Sonlin, and I'd be happy to chat more.
Awesome, Kyle. It's been a pleasure having you on and great learning more about Global Settlement Network. Keep me updated on everything you guys are doing, and hopefully in early 2026, maybe we can do this again, learn about some new use cases and new things going on with you guys, and I'll be following pretty closely. So thank you for the combo.
Appreciate it. All the work you guys do, it really means a lot.